Guten Tag, everybody. How's it going? Screezilla here, and I hope you're all well. And welcome to a bit of a look at the Odin. Yes, a new premium ship for the Germans. It's part of the Dockyard event where you're grinding out all the different bits and bobs to get to the ship. You get a Grafspay in the grinding process, and if you've got the Grafspay, you get the money for it. Well, the credits for it, at least the credit value for it. and you also get that fantastic camouflage of the launch day, which is really nice to see. Very, very pretty. We'll look at that in a bit more detail later on. So the Odin, I've powered my way through using the magic of a wallet, because I wanted to actually get this ship, and I'm not going to have the time to grind through it or things like that, so I decided, well, I'm just going to do this and make a video on it straight up. So yes, I decided to take a hit on this one for a change, and I'm very happy I did, because I really like it. I've had the crash bay for a while, and I mainly wanted that camouflage, but the other thing is I did want this ship, so did what I did. It's an interesting ship. It's got some relatively small caliber guns for a battleship, with only 305mm guns on them. Now you've got 9 of the guns in 3 triple turrets. You've got 2 aft and 1 on the back. Wait, no, aft is the back, isn't it? 2 on the... no, that's stern, isn't it? Yeah, 2 on the front, 1 on the back. And relatively good range of 19 odd kilometres. And you have got a spotter plane as well, so you can extend that. Now, I hear what you're saying. Well, what's the point in having that range? You're on a German battleship. You don't need that range. Well, the Odin does something a little bit different. It's slightly different to its fellow counterparts, in the fact that it actually has accuracy at this range. I know, sacrilege, I can hear you saying. German battleship with accuracy? What the hell next? So this ship does have the ability to get a decent salvo off at a decent range. We can see there 4 hits at 20 odd kilometres distance, which would be just a dream in any other battleship, especially a German one. It would be a bit of a dream. But we managed it in this ship, and that's the thing about this thing, is it has got that extra range, which really helps it out. So we're just heading to the right flank here and just trying to get out to the side to try and go hunting a little bit and see what we can spot, things like that. Seeing what's around us that we can actually hit. That roamer's there, so let's fire off some salvos at that roamer, see if we can get some good hits on that. So you've got a German battleship with good accuracy, and like most German battleships, it's got good armour as well. It's quite a small ship, which is nice. But one of the biggest issues is, well, it kind of has quite low hit points. At 52,000 hit points, that's not that many. That is quite low. When we're looking at something like the Roma, which has about 80,000 hit points or so, you see the difference in the hit points straight away. This ship has... It's a little bit of a glass cannon in the fact it has such low hit points. It does have a fairly good heal on it though, which does help quite a lot. And it has those guns, so you can actually get some good range on it, which again is nice. But at the end of the day, it's still a battleship. You've still got to try and get some... You're still going to take some licks and still going to have some issues. Fire as well tends to be quite good on this ship. We just set fire to that Nagomi again, which is always nice. So we're going to start pressing around this island now, see what we can pick up, see what pot shots we can get at. There's that Cleveland over there, Richelieu over there. Still using HE shells at this distance. I wish I'd had AP loaded for this guy though, for this Cleveland, because well, it slows down broadside onto a battleship, and if I'd had AP loaded, this would have been a wonderful shot, most likely. And you can see where they actually land is right midship as well, so that could have been a nice citadel there, but we had HE loaded. We didn't really have much choice there. So we're going to get past this second island. We'll fire a shot off at the Richelieu quickly, and then go some shots at the Richelieu. We've got now Maffei on our side, and we've got a fair few ships over on this edge of the map. The rest of our fleet have gone to the left side. You can see on the mini map there that we've only got a couple of ships this side of the map, which is not ideal really. So we're going to have to put some effort into defending this. Now this is my first game in the Odin, in a real game, mean, I've played a single single co-op battle in it, and you know, not really much learned from that other than the Odin is quite fun to play and has quite accurate guns. So we're using this time to just switch to AP, because I've just got a feeling we're going to see some cruisers and things like that around the corner here. And there's that Roma. Crap. And it's bow on to us. Ah, crap. Now we're going to angle the ship a bit to try and hopefully not get as much damage as we would normally get. There's this Richelieu there that's crossing us. But we're going to fire on the Roma. Shots out. And that sneaky Roma has gone invisible to us. And we get one ricochet. Well, that was useful, wasn't it? We'll switch back to HE here, because fighting battleships head-on, we're going to have trouble. Sort of going through the sort of some of the armour plates. And, oh, our friend in the Cleveland's back, and he's lost a lot of health. Go, HE shells, go and do your thing. Because we don't really want that Cleveland to keep spamming us with fire, because if it does, we're going to be in trouble. It looks like it's used its repair straight away, which on such low health is needed. And there's a second Cleveland coming in. Oh crap, we're going to get fire spammed here, aren't we? So, fire a few more shots off of that Cleveland to make sure it goes down. And now we're going to get the heck out of dodge. And we get a hit, and we take down the Cleveland. Got another Cleveland now, which is showing broadside, and is going to fire spam the hell out of us because it's an American cruiser, which is going to hurt. And this would have been the perfect shot for AP. Sorry, he got himself stuck on his friend there, and we would have really hurt him with some AP shells then. But unfortunately, we cocked up the shot and we didn't get much. We had to put the fires out because there were 3 fires burning on us. And that is not a fun place to be. Here comes the Roma with its Pope hat on, of course.
Problem solved, sir.
So we're going to fire some shells off, trying to get a fire on that guy. But soon we should go invisible, hopefully. Get one fire, that's okay. Now, of course, the other thing this ship has is torpedoes. Torpedoes are always going to be useful. So, one more round of fire spam and we get set on fire. Bugger.
The ship is on fire.
So let's try and get out of here. We're still spotted. So there's somebody over to the right of us, or somebody to the left, whichever is, that's spotting us at the moment. So we're just going to try and get out of this murder zone and try and survive a little bit longer here. The Roma is coming around the corner, which was expected. Take some shots with our AP shells, and we do nothing. But we're going to turn around here and launch some torpedoes. So we launch our spreaders torpedoes, and we're just going to get the heck out of dodge here because we don't really want to be in this position. So we've managed to get around and get our position. We've got a fire still burning on us, and there is the Nagami, which just annoyingly in a position where I can't hit it straight away, because that could have been a nice chunk of damage, but the Attico takes it out already. So, keeping an eye on the Roma now, because expecting it to come around the island. Not sure whereabouts it's going to come in that island though. And being that it's not spotted, I'm assuming it's sort of sitting on the other side of the island around me. So, getting my health back, so everything's going to be nice and hunky-dory, and there is a North Carolina out there, as well as that other Cleveland. So, we're just going to wait for a few moments to get that health back, and we're starting to back up now, because, as I said, expecting that Roma to be on our right-hand side. The Roma's a tricky battleship sometimes, because it's quite fast. And, yeah, the Roma is there. So that was a bit of a shock, and a bit of a moment of, oh crap, brown alert moment for sure. So, we've now got a Roma in very close range, but that's where this ship excels. We get a nice salvo of AP off there, straight into him. We're going to have to reload, so is he. So we're just going to reverse around, reverse around, reverse around. And we're going to be able to get our torpedoes off very shortly. There we go. And we will launch our torpedoes. Out we go. Taking a lot of damage here. Fire off another salvo, and we go straight through the front plate of his ship. We get a citadel. And boom, all of our torpedoes hit. This guy is on very low health now. Trouble is, so are we. Now, this ship came to us when we were at, what, 60-70% health, so we were a little bit low on health when we came around the corner. So we're going to try and fire off a salvo into those guns, hoping to take away one of his guns, but we don't manage it, unfortunately. We're going to be able to angle ourselves here, and we're going to be able to finish it off with another torpedo salvo. So we launch torpedoes, and his gun's going to be reloaded, and that's us gone. But also is gone is a Roma that had almost full health when it came around the side of the island. Considering the disadvantage we had, I was quite happy with how that went. And that is the match, ladies and gentlemen. We are done here. So let's head to the post-battle screen results. So there we have it, first game in the Orpha, the Odin. Not a bad game in all honesty. We managed to take down 2 ships. We finished sort of in the top tier of the victors there. The one that really did it for us was that Roma, which steamed around the corner, giving us 78,000 damage on that Roma. We really harvested that. And that is the strength of this ship. It's getting in there and brawling, I find it. It's got great range though, so don't be afraid to shoot at range and take that spotter out, because those smaller caliber guns are accurate at range, which is weird on a German battleship, I know. So you can see here all the damage we caused and yada yada yada. Did quite well in all. Managed to do some very mediocre damage across the board to other ships. The Megami got a bit of a spanking, but we didn't have our AP shells for a couple of those ships. The Cleveland, of course, we managed to set fire to and finally sink it. As well as the Roma, of course, we managed to take it down with torpedoes and the guns. We got the penetration with our main guns at that range as well into its citadel, which is always a good feeling. So yeah, it's really fun. I'm actually quite enjoying the Odin. And just a quick look at the old bank account. So yeah, some fairly nice credits earned there, which is always nice. Let's just go back to port. So all in all, not a bad first game in the Odin. I'm pretty happy with that. Also, just look at that beautiful, beautiful celebratory launch camouflage. It just looks so great. You can see the torpedo bulge as well just there. I haven't actually noticed that before. But when it was being built, you could see that getting done. Also, what I love about this is you've got your crew on deck, standing to formation and salute. And I believe a couple of them are playing instruments, which is kind of cool. Just very, very neat. Looks great. The model looks fantastic. And of course, the Grafs B gets that camouflage as well. The launch camouflage, which also has your on-deck gentleman standing there to look in on you. But the Odin itself, that's my first match in it. Well, I played one battle of co-op in it just to check out, make sure I knew what I was doing in it. But my first real match there in it, and I'm not too upset with that. The ship held its own. It has got very low hit points. Health of this ship is quite low at 52,000, one of the lower hit points for rank 9, but it's that close-up brawling there this ship makes up for it. If we look at the artillery, you can see you've got those 12 128mm guns, which have a decent penetration of 32mm, and then you've got the 6 150mm, which again have almost 38mm penetration, so almost 40mm penetration. So they're going to go through superstructures without any issue. So that is really, really handy. Just having that extra secondary, this makes it a very good brawler up close, as well as its sort of armor layout sort of paying to that as well. It's got fairly decent armor layout, normal turtleback armor on the citadel, but you've got a very strong citadel to actually deflect things. which is always handy, and that does help a little bit of range, of course, with the turtleback. So you've got some decent armour on board the ship as well, which is just very, very nice. Of course, you've got the torpedoes as well, which again are very, very helpful. This ship is basically, well, it's sort of like a slightly tougher Scharnhorst, really, and at its rank, it works very well. I'm really enjoying it so far, I must say, and I really like the look of it. Biggest thing though for me is when you actually get the ship, of course, the building of it, which you would have seen at the start of this episode. I just love watching the ships getting built. Obviously, if you actually look at the Odin and the Graf Spee together, if we can actually get that, you can see that they're very similar looking ships. There are some slight differences, of course, and they do have those differences, because the Odin was not a real ship, but it's a sort of similar sort of base for the ship. Of course, you've got a slightly larger lower deck system here on the back, where you've got your torpedoes and things. You've got your main, just a single main gun at the back as well, as the super firing 150mm. The guns, of course, are only 305mm guns, so they're not the biggest guns for a battleship of this tier. They have quite a small caliber of gun for a battleship, but the velocity and the accuracy makes up for it in lots of ways. If we just look at the artillery as well, we can see maximum AP to shell damage is 9,400, which isn't too bad. HE is 3,600, and dispersion is very low. The turrets move relatively quickly. You're quite good in those brawls. So yeah, it's fun. That's just how I got to put it, really. So just quickly open a couple of containers just to see what we got. I'm going to go signal flags because I need signal flags. Yeah, the Odin, well worth the grind for, and I like the fact they've actually been open in this one, where they've actually said you can't do it all alone. You have to use some form of doubloons to get it at the end. You won't be able to grind it out all by yourself, which is fair enough. And they give you the option just to grind it out with doubloons if you wish to, which is, again, fair enough. You know, if you don't have the time or things like that, you can actually do it. So it's kind of nice to have that option, really. It's a nice thing to have for this ship. You know, it is very, very useful indeed. And I think this dockyard event was done much better than the last one, in all honesty. So, yeah, the Odin, I like it. It's fun. It's very brawly. I see this ship being quite useful, similar to the Tirpitz, of course, with those, with the fact you've got the torpedoes on the ship. The fact they're at the rear there does hinder slightly sometimes, but if you're being chased, it does work well. You've just got to get yourself positioned right. Positioning is key here. So yeah, it's really good. And also the other thing as well is the anti-aircraft defense is pretty beefy. There are better ships out there for sure, but you've got enough anti-air to actually, you know, take down some planes and things like that with the 20mm guns, the 55s of course, and the 128mm. So you've got some good range, firing range of 6 kilometers. And you've got some good burst damage there, and this thing's been pretty beefy up against the aircraft carriers, I found. So yeah, all in all, I like it. If it's something that you want, then be expecting to pay for it a bit, but I think it's worth it, in all honesty. It seemed like a really fun ship to play, and also it makes some seriously good credits as well on a win, especially when you kill a Roma. But yeah, so far I like this ship a lot. Main thing is I love the look of it. Just the model is gorgeous. Historically, it doesn't make all that much sense. The fact it's a twin funnel even. If we look at German battleships, we'll just go to the Gneiss now. They generally were single funnel. They tended not to have twin funnels on them. They tended to lean more towards a single funnel setup over most nations. These are actually some of the cruiser funnels from, I think, the Hipper class, which only makes sense if this went for the diesel oil-burning engines, but then again, the funnels would probably have to be a little bit bigger for that. So that's a little bit strange. Historically as well, this ship didn't exist, of course, and there's not much information on it. The SMS Odin existed. It was a coastal defence ship back in the day, but the actual Odin, as we see it here, didn't really exist in that sort of form. The other thing as well, you've got to look at the bow. It's got the Atlantic bow on it, of course, and for some reason it has the triple anchor layout, which again doesn't make too much sense, and also the fact that the guns are so close to the front. If we look at Gneisenau here, you can see that there's quite a big gap from the bow to the first gun, and you've got that big water shield on the front. If we go back to the Odin, you can see that that is not so long, and a lot of German battleships struggled with that because they would basically take on a lot of water over their bows, just because they sat a little bit lower, and they tended to struggle with that. The fact that the lower turret has got its bunny ears cut off, the little forgotten the word, coincidental rangefinder, makes sense because, well, they had to do that to all of their battleships they found, but usually you'd see a big steel plate here because they made them with the coincidental rangefinder, then found out that those rangefinders were getting ruined by the water splashing all over them, and they weren't much use. So those guns tended to be quite useless in in the front there, just with the fact of the splashes of the waves when it was in rough weather, and you couldn't get that rangefinder working. So the fact it has it removed makes sense, but it seems to have been designed like that. So obviously you'd go, okay, well, this is a late war design configuration, but there is no real design on it. So that's a little bit, it's a little bit fantasy in that respect from wargaming, but plausible. It is a plausible ship. Everything else sort of tends to work on it. As I said, the twin smokestack probably wouldn't have happened, and we probably would have seen a slightly longer bow to it because of that aforementioned issue. But they may have some sources that I don't. I'm sure there are sources out there which will have it in there. It's sort of that, was it Plan Z, sort of era of ships. This is sort of slightly smaller battleship than things like the Bismarck and Tirpitz in its sort of overall sort of diameters, and as well as its gun configuration as well. Using the 305mm guns, it just seems a little bit strange considering how much Germans like to upgun things. So yeah, it's an absolute possibility as a ship. It would have made a good commerce raider slash annoyance ship, been good for cruiser hunting, things like that. So it's kind of like it's not a battle cruiser, so to say, but it is sort of made to be a little bit more of a menace to society than a brawler with other battleships. So yeah, it's just an interesting ship to have. Alright, well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll stop rambling on now, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.